And fucked uma paixão. Are we live? Yes, we are live. Okay.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Law Benfica podcast, episode number 204. On tonight's podcast and the last podcast of the regular season for us, we will look back at the season that was this past successful season for Benfica, and we'll talk about some more stuff. But with us tonight, let me introduce our panel, or like Pedro likes to say, introduce our panel. Cristiano Oliveira.
Olá, senhoras e senhores, tudo bem?
And Pedro Aresta. Pedro Aresta, you might know him from the Tritugas podcast.
What's going on, everybody?
He's here tonight, not as a host, but as a guest. So it must feel good not being a host, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I'm Alfredo. So as I've said, tonight we will look back at the season that was. But before that, I wanted to talk a little bit about to Pedro about the Tritugas podcast. Pedro, how's that going, man?
So far, so good. There was something that we decided. So we all hang out together at a barbecue, and we just talk shit to each other all the time about our own clubs. So we figured, you know what? Why not put it on something that people can listen to? And that's really how it came about. But it's been fun. It's been entertaining, especially when we got Big Zay on the show, as you guys listen to it every once in a while. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's been great.
Right. And so the podcast mainly is about Portuguese football. So you guys not only discuss Benfica, but you also discuss other clubs, right?
Correct.
Right. So if you guys have a chance to check that out, the Tritugas podcast, they're on YouTube. You could also get them on iTunes. They're available for download. So definitely give those guys a shout. They got good chemistry going on with the guy from Benfica, but Sporting it's pretty funny, and they cover a lot of topics that everybody wonders.
That's something else, man.
Yeah. So it's just another source of Portuguese football that you can listen to on your way to work or what may you and whatnot.
In the English language.
In the English language, that's right. Cristiano, what's been up with you? Que tá acontecendo contigo, moleque?
Nothing much, man. Chilling. Just
Checking out your fantasy baseball?
yeah, checking out my fantasy baseball squad. I'm doing all right. 2-game losing streak, but we got to turn it around. I had a pep talk with them this weekend, so hopefully they'll pick it up.
Good. So season wrap up for us. Benfica played the last game of the season this past Sunday against Marítimo for the final of the League Cup in Coimbra. Benfica won convincingly 6-2. What we then found out that it was not only the goodbye of Renato Sanches with the Benfica jersey for now at least, but also Nicolas Caetan that was sold to Atletico. Has it been made official, Chris?
No, nothing's official yet.
Well,
I thought it was, though.
No, nothing is official.
No?
Nothing is official. Different rumors have come out that Atletico wants to confirm the transfer only after the Champions League final, which they face Real Madrid this weekend.
That is correct.
On Saturday, for those of you that have been sleeping on the rock for the last couple of weeks. So yeah, rumors are that they want to confirm it then, but there's nothing official from the club. I mean, Rui Vitorias, for those of you that had the privilege or had the chance to watch Rui Vitorias today on Benfica TV, he had a postseason interview, I guess, and they did pose that question to him, and he said that nothing's been confirmed. He has no idea who's moving, who's not moving. But obviously, like the dude doing the interview said, you know, Nico's words spoke for themselves. His goodbye spoke for himself. So it's obvious that something is up, something is going to happen, but there hasn't been any confirmation on either part.
Yeah, absolutely. But definitely will happen. The Atletico did mention that they were going to announce them after the Champions League, which seems fitting. I think that the timing of these things have to be right sometimes, so there's no hurt feelings or anything to really disturb the team's chemistry. Absolutely, they're actually, you know, they will play. When is the game? This Sunday against
Saturday,
2:45. 2:45
p.m. Eastern time.
Catch them on what? Fox is going to have it. Fox is going to have it. Good. So with I'll give you the lineup real quick that played against Marítimo. Ederson was in goal. Almeida, Luizão, Jardel, and Grimaldo across the back. Samaris and Renato in the midfield. Pizzi and Gaetan on the wings, and Jonas and Mitroglou. So pretty standard lineup with Luizão making his return. Obviously, the captain that had sat out for an injury to his arm, a fracture, and gave a spot to Lindelof. It was only fitting that he played the last game. Also, Grimaldo getting some burn. That was good.
Lisandro didn't give his spot to Lindelof. He gave it to Lisandro, and then my boy
You're
Licho kind of got hurt. Therefore,
right.
Victor jumped in.
Thanks for correcting me on
that.
that.
That's why Steve's not here, so somebody's got to do it.
Somebody has to do it. You know,
Steve, love you, bro.
so
Change the diaper.
yeah, fairly easy.
Gets out of control.
So fairly easy game for Benfica. Benfica was up 1-0 at the 11-minute mark, then 2-0 at the 18-minute mark. First Jonas at the 11-minute, as I said, and 18 Mitroglou, and then Mitroglou 3-0 at the 38-minute mark. We did give up a goal right in the dying minutes of the first half, but I guess all the celebration and all the drinking, the beer drinking that the team did over the week didn't really affect them. So they were pretty on point. Pedro, I don't know if you got a chance to watch the game. Any thoughts on the game?
So what I can say is, just for the beginning, it was amazing, the two big saves that Ederson had to make right in the first 5 minutes. I think that was the change in the momentum of the game right off the bat. Had those two goals gone in, I think we're looking at a whole different ballgame. I don't know how you guys feel, but it's going to be one of those games where it's going to be tough, which we were accustomed to towards the end of that season, where everybody was just parking the bus and we were having a hard time penetrating through that. But fortunately for us, Ederson came up big with very big saves, and I think that kind of set the pace for the rest of the game. Personally, that's how I felt about that.
Yeah. Cristiano, what, do you see Ederson going anywhere?
Listen, it's hard to tell, but right now it just seems that every single player on this Benfica roster is supposedly up for grabs. I mean, Rui Vitorias, supposedly the club turned down a $7.5 million offer from a Chinese club for Rui. I mean, everybody in this club right now is rumored to be leaving. I hope that it's BS. I hope that he does come back. But you know what, man? It will pose an interesting situation if he does come back and Benfica are able to hold on to him. We'll all be happy, but you know, we got another guy in net there, another guy that's coming back for his 30-year contract in Julio Cesar, who I believe that he expects to play. So I do think that if a nice offer comes in, Benfica would definitely study it, because they're very well served still. You know, with Julio Cesar in case they do lose Ederson. Obviously, I like for the kid to stay. Like most Benfiquistas watching this guy at the beginning of the season, a little bit nervous. Obviously, stepped into a huge situation at the Alvalade in his very first game.
Yeah.
You know, in the very, very first big game, I should say, for Benfica. Obviously, when Julio Cesar got injured. And the guy's been spectacular. I think he's exceeded everyone's expectations. I think he's been better than we all anticipated he would be. So we'd love to see this guy stick around, just like we would have loved to see, you know, Renato stick around, Lindelof. We want to see these young bucks stick around. We'd like Benfica to make a run for the next 4 or 5 years. But unfortunately, I don't know what the hell the club is doing right now. I can't speak for them. But we have seen that if an interesting offer does come in, that every single player is available. So I would not be surprised if he does leave.
Yeah. Chris, you know who else is not rumored to be leaving?
Ta-da! but that's because they have big plans for him next year. Big plan. I can't confirm nor deny, but they have big plans for him next year.
What kind of plans do you think?
He might run the show now. I don't know. It's just a rumor.
You're going to run the show?
Just a rumor right now.
All right.
He might run the show.
He's gonna probably run the lunch line. I don't know about the show.
Man, you guys got to give this guy a chance. You guys got to stop being
another
hard.
one.
You know,
how many chances does he need?
Maybe he listens to the Benfica podcast, because obviously you can speak Portuguese by now, so he speaks English. He listens to the Benfica podcast every week, and you guys with your negative thoughts and your negative words, you know, the guy loses his motivation and he goes and eats because he's depressed. Maybe we should give this guy like a boost. Say some good in case he is watching. In case he is watching, says, you know what, these guys stepped up for me and they stuck up for me, and he might decide to do his thing.
Pedro, what are your thoughts on Tarap, man?
Honestly, I haven't seen much of him. My thoughts basically based on what I've seen from him when he was in the English Premier League. So, dude, he does look heavy. I know you love him, Chris. I know you love that cat, but it kind of bothered me watching him celebrating with the team on the championship. It really did. I gotta be honest. It really bothered me. I don't feel like he deserves. No,
listen. As a Tarap,
he's not
as a Tarap fan, and I can't defend. I don't think his own mother could defend him for what he's done at Benfica this season.
His own mother,
yeah,
come on, man.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but you know, your mother always has your back. I don't think even his own mother would tell you he did a good job at Benfica this year. I do think he has a ton of talent. And like I've said on this podcast and many other places where I like to voice my opinions, I've said it multiple times that the guy's got, you know, $1 million talent, but the 10-cent brain. And I mean, obviously you can't put that together. And as a
And
fan,
it's sad. That's
and
sad,
it is,
man.
it is. And as
That's
a
very
fan,
sad.
and as a fan of his, because I think the guy's got the tools, at least at his feet, he's got all the tools. And as a supporter, as a guy that still sees the light at the end of the tunnel, hoping that this guy does turn it around somehow, it did bother me as well seeing him celebrate, because I was like, what are you doing? I think myself, if I was in that situation and I wasn't a part of the team, I wouldn't I don't think I could have done it. I don't think I could.
I don't either.
I don't think I could,
Because you didn't contribute
yeah, I
anything
didn't
to
I
that
didn't do
title,
nothing.
right?
And then obviously he ain't dumb. He understands that's probably been much publicized that he hasn't played shit all year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, I couldn't see myself in those pictures. Yeah, I would love to be there. Don't get me wrong, but if I was a part of it,
You couldn't even contribute to the B team.
True. How many games did he play for the B team?
Like 2 or 3.
listen, this
Missed the
podcast,
penalties.
we're here to talk about a fantastic
hit a
podcast.
corner kick to the side post.
We're here to talk about a fantastic season that Benfica had. You know, Benfica, they just won the 3 for this time in our lifetime. Hit us up on Twitter, by the way, hashtag Benfica Podcast with any questions. We'll gladly answer them if we could.
Chris,
let's forget about that. Let's forget about that for a second. Let's talk about the brilliancies that these guys had. Go ahead. You want to praise me? That's what I like to hear. Go ahead.
No, hold on. To give you credit, though,
Always.
I was very hyped about Taarabt when he first came to Benfica.
We're still here.
Because, no, honestly, though, you go look up this cat's YouTube videos, skills, and all that BS.
Hey, the Harlem Globetrotters have a pretty good video clip, too.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to wait for you to finish. I'm going to tell you, look up any single player you want, and obviously their YouTube is going to show you their highlights. They're not going to show you their lowlights. So
But you can
everybody
see
looks
he always
fantastic.
had a little bit more
the
than,
guy's
than
got talent.
other people. You
The
know
guy's
what I
got
mean?
talent.
He's definitely got talent.
That's undeniable. I think that's undeniable. So Benfica wraps up their 7th of 9 League Cups. Benfica, that means that Benfica has won 7 out of 9. The other ones went to Vitória Setúbal and Braga, if I'm not mistaken. So another title, 2 titles. We were missing that Super Cup in the beginning of the season, but maybe we will get it next year.
We're talking about Super Cup.
Super Cup?
It's been announced.
August 7th,
right?
In Estádio Municipal Aveiro, my hometown.
Right. Last time you went to watch a Benfica game, Estádio Municipal Aveiro, they lost.
Yeah,
So
Patrick and I were
stay
sitting
away
there.
from that, please.
Pretty somber moment, but yeah.
All right. I actually had some clips from Mr. Patrick Kendrick that I was hoping to play live on here, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do. I'm going to try to mic my.
His farewell was a nice farewell.
Yeah, I'm going to try to mic my my laptop to see if you guys can hear it. I asked him some questions about some of the season, and this one is one that he actually talks about the narratives of the game. Let's see if we can do it.
I think one of the key narratives of the season was really the rivalry between Jorge Jesus and his successor Rui Vitorias, which in essence was very one-sided. Very rarely did Rui Vitorias respond to Jesus, who attempted to provoke him at every opportunity, particularly on the eve of the Super Cup way back in August, when in his press conference he basically said that Benfica were playing exactly the same way. They'd only lost their tactical brain. And for a long time it looked like Jesus was going to be proved right, because he won the first 3 meetings between Sporting and his former club in the Super Cup, that first league meeting, and then also in the Portuguese Cup. And he also ended a run, I believe, 54 home league games unbeaten, which he had set himself. So it was Jesus ending his own record, albeit from another team. But then I think he got things a little bit wrong. And I think this is the thing, it was so one-sided throughout the whole time. Rui Vitorias very rarely responded to Jesus. And Sporting opened up what was at one stage a 7-point cushion, but I think Jesus became obsessed with Benfica. I think he became obsessed with Rui Vitorias, and ultimately that distracted from the work he was doing at Sporting. And his club supported him, I believe wrongly, in maligning and trying to undermine Benfica at every opportunity, coming out with ludicrous, controversial statements about the age of Renato Sanchez. And all of this meant that Benfica were able to get on with their work without much pressure. It galvanised all of the Benfica squad around Rui Vitorias, who was classy throughout, and he just kept chipping away. And I think that ultimately helped Benfica go on this incredible 12-game winning run at the end of the season to secure the league title. And that's something that even the president, Luis Felipe Vieira, stressed yesterday at the town hall, or on Monday, I should say, saying that he'd like to thank Sporting for forcing Benfica into playing so well and achieving what is a record points total to secure the league title.
There's more.
Another great story of the league season has to be Benfica's run in Europe. Yes, they reached a couple of Europa League finals in recent times under Jesus, but rarely had they gone particularly far in the Champions League. This was a campaign that saw them get quite a favourable draw in the group by virtue of being seeded, having won the league the previous year. With UEFA changing the format, they were drawn with Atletico Madrid, Zenit and Galatasaray. And Benfica secured some fantastic results. Really, the win at the Calderon over Atletico Madrid, one of very few sides to do that, gave them the boost they needed and really the momentum required to go on and have a successful campaign, knowing that they went into that final game of the group stage already qualified, which was crucial because they played Atletico Madrid. Yes, they could have won their group by beating Atletico Madrid, but then they were fortunate in, despite being second seeds for the knockout stages, they drew Zenit, and we saw a thrilling two-legged tie where Benfica scored a very crucial late goal from Jarlash in the home leg, and then turned things around, having fallen behind to a controversial goal in St. Petersburg after Jimenez crashed the bar with his effort and Gaita headed in. And that set up a glamour time for Benfica. And it's the sort of fixture that the fans have been wanting for many years now, a fixture that counted at a big stage, European Cup quarter-final against Bayern Munich, hotly tipped for the title as ever, against Guardiola. And Benfica equipped themselves very well indeed. Fantastic results over the course of the two legs. It looked ugly when Vidal scored very early in the first leg, but Benfica were an absolute credit, hanging on in the first leg and then really performing well in front of the Stadio da Luz crowd, packed house, electric atmosphere. But for a couple of questionable decisions, who knows, it may have gone another way, with Javi Martinez escaping a red card and Bayern scoring a very well-worked corner, something that Guardiola had planned down to the letter. And finally, another...
Sorry, I cut off Patrick. Sorry about that. Sorry, Patrick. I'll promise to edit in the audio version. We're actually just miking it off the laptop speakers, so in the audio version, I'll make sure to add that. But Chris, Patrick was talking about the narratives of the season for you. What were some of the stories of the season for you?
Early on, obviously, JJ leaves. Can Rui Vitorias fill his shoes? That was one, and I think that he might have not have pleased every single Benfica fan, but he ultimately did deliver the title. So I guess he did fill his shoes in a very nice way. The other one, once Renato was inserted into the lineup, that took on, it just took off. It was its own story every single week. How good could this kid be? You could tell that Benfica definitely picked up their style. You could tell Benfica their intensity. The whole game was picked up once Renato was thrown into the starting lineup and Benfica started clicking. So that's, to me, the whole season for Renato was obviously that was something huge. And then that was just the whole challenge, the whole campeonato, the whole winning the three, the whole BS going around with Sporting every single week, having to deal with insults, having to keep your cool and try to be classy when everybody else around you, all they did is try to bring you down and try to, destabilize you and knock down everything that you worked so hard for. To me, that was the biggest thing all year, was fighting off the competition and fighting off, the naysayers and trying to prove everybody wrong. So that has to be one of the stories of the year, bro.
Yeah, sure. Pedro, what about you? What were some of the stories for you this season when you look back?
So I think, and most people are all saying it over on Trio de Ataque and all those other shows, that 70th minute chant in the game against Sporting, getting smacked 3-0 by your rival, and the fans actually staying behind the entire team. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Rui Vitorias actually today had mentioned something about that as well. I don't know if you guys watched it on BTV, but to me, that's a very big turning point in the season. Renato coming in and playing the way he did, playing out of his socks. Those first 2 or 3 games that he played also, I think, kind of motivated the team, if I'm not mistaken. Because most teams, and Chris, I mean, I've been through it, and I'm sure you've been through it playing it. Every time you see that one dude come off the bench that just you don't expect much from him, kind of brings down and drags down the entire team.
Oh, hell yeah. He's like, why is this guy coming in?
Right. And then this guy coming in who's only 18 years old and just, I mean, took it going, kept it going. I think kind of motivated the team as well. I mean, you're talking about an 18-year-old. He's filling in some big shoes. He's occupying so much space, playing out of his socks. I think had the team going as well.
Yeah, I think that obviously Renato Sanchez is one of the biggest stories of the season. But Rui Vitorias was saying today that that the team united themselves a lot because of all the noise that was going around the team. Also, some of the key injuries that the team went through. I think he said that the team got much stronger and guys were just rallying around each other to make sure that there was no drop off in performance. And I was reading the interview that he did that he gave Abala, and that was one of the things he mentioned. He did mention that Renato was a big deal for the season, but he also he praises a lot the team unity and the way the team was able to rally around each other. The guy from Abala was asking him, well, did Sporting serve as a motivator for you guys? All the talk about you guys, Renato being older than 18, was that a motivation for you guys?
What a joke, though, right?
Yeah,
what a joke.
And he just said that no, I mean that would a little bit served as motivation, but the team was focused on what they needed to do, and the team kind of played with a chip on their shoulder.
He could come out and downplay it all he wants, but I think that served huge in the locker room.
Absolutely.
I think these players, they're all like, man, we're professionals, and on top of it, this is coming from a guy that was on their corner for the past 6 years, a guy that's sending them text messages and being disrespectful towards their very own. And I think at the beginning of the season, when they all went through all that crap in the Supertaça, kind of like let it go, roll off your back, and all of a sudden you start getting negative results, and all you just hear is the parrots talking coming from the outside. And I think at some point you start to build that brotherhood in the locker room, and all of a sudden it goes back to that same Benedict's motto: whatever hurts my brother hurts me. And it's, let's unite, let's get together. Man, we're not going to allow these guys, these characters to come out and talk about us in a negative way and talk about our work and our sweat and tears that we put into this. And I think that united the players. I think that they all went through and they all just said, man, let's do this for each other. And you could tell that Benfica in a lot of games towards the end of the season where they weren't the best team on the field for long stretches of the game, but they never gave up. And it was like that one thing. You could tell these guys really wanted to go to the very last drop and try to get a positive result, in which it did. So to me, he could downplay it all he wants, but I think that served a lot of motivation in the locker room.
And I know we just finished talking about Renato and some other guys, but Pedro, for you, who are some of the protagonists of the season, some main characters of? I mean, we just spoke about team unity also, but certainly there's guys that push this team forward.
So I got to say that I had a lot of doubts early on this season. One, of course, Rui Vitorias, we didn't know what to expect. Two, once you started seeing players go down, especially crucial players like our captain, injuries and this and that, and you started seeing young guys coming in, it was just so bad. But when you see, I mean, I gotta praise our center backs. I mean, Jardel and Lindelof, dude, my hat goes off to those guys because I didn't expect much from them, honestly. I really didn't. But to see the way they both molded together and played as one in the back, I think was a big game changer for us early on. Ederson, but that was later on in the season. I think it was more than halfway through the season, if I'm not mistaken, right? All in all, I mean, Gonçalo Guedes, it's the unsung hero kind of deal. I mean, we don't talk much about him because he was, early on, where we weren't playing really well. We were losing, important games, but we got to tip our hats against Atletico Madrid. Had it not been him with that goal, we may not be in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Who knows? But there's a lot of players. From beginning to end, it's just amazing how they all got together. They played well together, and I think it was more like of a brother in arms kind of thing. They were all there to fight for each other.
I said this on previous podcasts. The spine of the team That's what really made this team click this year. Whether it was Julio Cesar or then Ederson, who played above expectations. They played terrific. Both of them combined played terrific all year. The center backs, regardless of who was in there, except the one constant, which was Jardel, a guy that we criticized and we crack on just 2 years ago, because this guy, we didn't expect him to be at this level. And I think he surprised us all in a very pleasant way. The guy's been magnificent. He's the one constant every single day back there. And then you plug in Lisandro. When he played, he did play well. Luizão played well. Then he goes down, and I wasn't that worried because I actually like Lisandro a lot. Lisandro steps in. I'm like, okay, we're still fine. We're still fine. Now he goes down. Now the doubts creep in. Lindelof against Futebol Clube Porto,
What the
classic.
hell is that, right?
Then Zenit or revert. I think it was Porto, then Zenit. And you're scratching your head, and you're like, man. But you know what? The guy's proved to be arguably. I mean, it's him and Jardel, but he's probably, as far as talent goes and expectations and potential, he's your best center back right now. Then you go into the midfield, Feja and Samari. I mean, not Samari. Samari's played all right this year. He wasn't that good, but Feja was spectacular. Renato was terrific, and then Jonas up top with Mitroglou. The spine of this of the team is what kept this team going forward. Because if you go to the outside, Eliseu had a nice year. Nothing offensively, because I think it was tactical. It was Rui Vitorias instructed to stay back. Same thing with Almeida and Semedo, who Semedo started off the year, going bonkers. Then he gets hurt, and unfortunately, he never returned back to the same form. Pizzi had a nice stretch there from like December to February, but then he obviously dropped in form. Gaetan was spectacular at times, but you could tell he was not the same player.
You can find Pizzi.
Absolutely. Well, but Pizzi did go for a stretch there where he was real good, guys. I mean, I criticize the guy as much as anybody, but I have to tip my hat to him because he was good for a 2-3 month stretch.
Yeah.
And then, nobody on the outside has spectacular seasons. They had, okay seasons, but nobody overperformed what we expected, where the guys in the middle, the spine of that team, everybody was terrific. Yeah. And that's what was able to keep this team together. When the times got tough, these guys bared down and they got the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's what Patrick had to say about some of the protagonists this season.
As for the three protagonists of the season, it's quite hard to narrow it down. Jonas has to be in there as the league's top goal scorer, the first player to break the 30-goal mark since Mario Jardel. 40 for Sporting over a decade ago. Jonas is absolutely fantastic. It seems fitting that he would finish on 35 goals in all competitions this season, that Benfica won their 35th league title. 35 is the magic number, really. Also the fee that Bayern Munich paid up front for Renato Sanchez, 35 million euros. He would also be one of my top 3 players for the season. Really has been emblematic of Benfica's success with him in the side. Played 24 in the league. Won 22, drawn 1, and lost 1, an astonishing record. And he was really the go-to man. Incredible that Benfica had such a dominant figure in midfield, aged just 18. He gave him the ball and asked him to make things happen in a way that they only really do with Gaetan or Jonas in a slightly different fashion. But Renato Sanchez will have a great career. I'm very excited to see how he fares in Germany and in the latter stages of the Champions League, and see how Carlo Ancelotti develops it. The last one, it was a toss-up for me between the final 2, but I decided to go for Victor Lindelof just by virtue of him playing a few more games than Ederson. Ederson won all 10 of his league games since deputising for Julio Cesar, beginning with that 1-0 win at Alvalade. But Lindelof for me was absolutely standout performer. He'd been in the club for a couple of years before this, and no one was really sure about what he was made of. We saw a bit of what he could do against Portugal in last season's European Under-21 Championship finals. But he came into the team and was great on the ball, quick, assured, read the game well, interceptions, tackles, and a very calming presence at the back there alongside Jardel. He will also command a big fee for Benfica to part with him. It's one of just a number of players who have a very bright future in the game. So I would say Jonas, Renato Sanchez and Lindelof are the 3 main protagonists of the season. The emblematic figures, if you will, of the campaign.
There you go. Jonas, Lindelof, and Renato Sanchez were the 3 main guys for Patrick, and it's hard to disagree with that.
It's hard to disagree,
Chris.
but you can't leave out Jardel.
No,
I mean, Jardel was there since day one. Yes, Lindelof was terrific terrific. And like I said just a minute ago, he might be the best central in Portugal. Forget about Benfica, in Portugal. Okay. Yes,
Epa.
and I said it.
But Smith,
But that being said, stop.
Well, this.
But that being said, he stepped in, middle of February, late February. We're talking about Jardel, who's there all year. And again, Benfica had those guys. From those handful of guys, you could pick any single one of them. And I don't think you're being disrespectful towards anyone else saying that either one was the best player of the season, I think.
Yeah, you got to give credit across the entire team, man. It's from beginning to end. I mean, you had so many players who played a crucial role. And I just mentioned to Chris before, I completely forget about Smith only because he disappeared for such a long time. But
yeah,
in the beginning, he was
crucial.
He was crucial.
That was only 9 games. That's why a lot of people forget about him, because as good as he was, he played 9 games. He got called to the national team, got hurt, then he came back, was not the same player, guys. Right. And we all, Alfredo, here on the podcast, I called for him to play a lot of times over Almeida, but kind of understood. It's kind of that old motto: if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Rui Vitorias went with. It was working with Almeida. Almeida, I think, gave him a little bit more assurances defensively than what Semedo did. And I think he decided to go. And let's not forget Semedo, the one big chance he got to play after his injury was against Zenit. He comes back, and so a lot of people would have called that a foul, but the referees didn't call it a foul, so it wasn't a foul. And he kind of gets bodied over, by I forget who it was, and that Zenit ultimately tied the game on that play.
Jerkoff, right?
Jerkoff, yeah, whatever his name is. Yeah,
that's why I can't forget his name.
Yeah.
So basically, Benfica finished the season with 52 wins overall, 40 wins, 34 of them for the league.
52 games overall.
52 games overall.
9 wins overall.
40 wins. 3 ties, 9 losses, three losses in the Champions League, 4 in the league, and 1 in Taça de Portugal, and 1 for the Super Cup, obviously, as we know. 122 goals scored, 42 goals allowed in all competitions. That's quite remarkable. Cristiano, let's turn our attention to a topic.
Let's not forget, along with that, 88 set a league record, 88 points.
Yeah, 88
and
points.
88 goals scored in a campeonato in the Portuguese league as well.
Let's talk about a topic that we promised that we push over to the end of the season. Rui Vitória. Cristiano, I know that in the beginning of the season, there's a lot of people discounting him, and we probably weren't the only ones. I was a little bit more patient with him than you and Steve were. And I think at this point, Steve still has his doubts. And I know, Cristiano, you still have your doubts. How much do you think of this title it belongs to Rui Vitória?
Listen, man, right now, what can I say? I mean, Steve and I could have all the doubts we want. Ultimately, the guy delivered the title, like we just mentioned. League record in points, league record in goals, obviously setting Benfica records as well. If they're league records, Benfica record. Having a spectacular Champions League run, which a lot of us did not anticipate. So the guy delivered, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Am I still impressed by the gameplay? Am I still impressed by his style, by his tactics? No, I'm not. There's times I sit here, watch the game from my very own TV, and I think I could change the game in a heartbeat. And it's like, if you can't see this as a coach, and I can see it from my couch, that infuriates me, and I get aggravated. And so, that being said, who cares about what Cristiano and Steve think? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The guy performed, Benfica won, and he's going to be back. And so it is what it is. He's going to be our coach, and hopefully he keeps delivering to this the way he delivered this year. And you know what? Steve and I will just have to eat crow, and we have to apoyar our coach, just like you did support our coach, because you never gave up on him. When Steve and I were very critical, you always said, man, you know what? Still early. I'm trying to give this guy a break. And things did not look great at the beginning of the season, guys. And that's where my concerns come from. You know what I mean? And that's where my concerns come from. And they started very early in preseason when we were in Toronto, and then Connecticut and whatever. I mean, we talked about this on and on and on. But again, regardless of what I think about JJ, I'll forever be grateful. The guy delivered the 3 campeonatos, the first time in my very life that I get to see this. And then on top of it, man, it's like I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday, and in my whole lifetime, I never really hated Sporting. I've never hated Sporting. Porto was the team that I have that hate for. You know what I mean? Aquele rancor por uma equipa. Es Futebol Clube do Porto. And this year, man, I think I got it. I got that in my blood towards Sporting for the very first time in my lifetime, because I always kind of looked at Sporting as a little brother. They're going to say what they're going to say, but I can't hate on them. It is what it is, man. The team that really always got in my way was Futebol Clube do Porto. And that being said, Sporting still hasn't gotten in my way, with the exception of the Taça Cândido Oliveira, which, whatever you said, pós pardais. But they did talk a lot of trash, man. They got me amped up. So he delivered, man. He delivered, and I didn't have to sit here. Right now, we could be having a totally different podcast.
Yeah.
You know, if Vitória did not deliver.
Yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sorry for being critical, but that's who I am.
Yeah. But Pedro, here's the thing, right? A guy that steps in to take over a guy that was there for 6 years, which has the big herança, if you want to call it, or what do you say? How do you say it in English? Inheritance.
Big shoes to fill.
Big shoes to fill, obviously, coming off of Bicampeonato. You got a guy that steps in. There was some key players that left. A guy who the president says, this is the way of the future. We're going to change the way we're going. We're going to look to the Seixal. To be quite honest, I expected this year to be a transition year for Benfica. I know that as Benfiquistas, we always think, todos os anos é para ganhar. But this year, for me, especially with what we had before, having a dramatic change that now you're looking in-house for talent, I really expected this to be a transition year. But really, it was more than a transition year. What are your thoughts on how Vitória did throughout the season?
So he definitely wasn't my first, second, or third pick. I got to be honest. I was one of those folks that actually criticized him from the beginning and really didn't want him there. But I got to say, again, like Chris had said, we're not a big fan of his tactics and so on and so forth, which there's times in the season that I questioned his tactics. I questioned his formation. I questioned a lot of players that actually played. But in the end, it happened to work out. What I think made the season even more meaningful, and I think, and again, you can give credit to the coach for this, was the camaraderie within the locker room. I think when you have players like Gaetan, Luizão, jogadores a Benfica, you know what I mean? And one player,
leaders.
And one player who I think doesn't get enough credit for his contribution to the locker room, a player like Salvio. I don't know how many people actually follow him day in and day out, but I mean, he is so pro Benfica that I think he means so much to the locker room like that. And while that feeling is still around, I hope Rui Vitória knows how to write it out and kind of get the players behind him and keep it going, keep this going. I don't think he's the best tactician in the world. No, absolutely not. Ainda falta muito a mostrar. But I mean, if he's a smart man, and I hope he is a smart man, I think he is a smart man, he can keep writing it out, keep cruising it, and hopefully we can get the Penta, right? Yeah.
Cristiano, what do you make of the introduction of the youth? As I've said, Vieira, what that was the change or plan? What do you make? We've had these conversations.
Trying to make me look bad here?
No. We've had these conversations offline, and I wanted to have these conversations in front of people so people know how you feel.
But right now, right
but it
now,
doesn't matter. It's the
this
same.
is not the time and
Why
the
not?
place, because everything I say, I will look like a jackass. Because I'll be like, what is this guy talking about? Everything worked out fine for Vitória, and a lot of people will come out and say it's all due to his work. I'll say things just fell into his lap. He had no other choice.
Right.
So
Lindelof.
Which thing you'll reply to me?
He had
that
no
I'm
other
just
choice.
being a hater. You understand what I'm trying to say? And then I got nothing to win. I got nothing to gain by this conversation. Rui Vitória, hats off to you, sir. Spectacular run. I hope it continues next season. He said today in the interview that he's already been told he's going to have a couple more players from the B team that he has to integrate into the squad. When he said, do you care to mention who they are? He said, no, I can't. I'm not at freedom yet to say who the players are, but they will inject some more youth. Hopefully it'll work out. I hope it keeps going on. But to me, that is a conversation in a podcast that I would love to have just at a different time. Right now, it's a time to praise Benfica for the quality work that they did. Rui Vitória, I think he even surprised himself. The guy had a very shaky season, a very shaky start to the season. And then he turned it around. Then the guy went 25-1-1 in his last 27 games. I mean, how could I criticize that? Call it what you want. Ugly football, beautiful football, delusional. At the end of the day, the important thing is he got 3 points in 25 out of 27 games. And that's all everybody will look at, because the numbers will back their argument up. Yep. Where my argument today is nonsense. It's ludicrous. Now, what I'll say is, in time, people's true colors do come out. And I'm hoping we don't go through that, because if we go through that, I'll have to suffer. And so to me, it's bittersweet. Benfica won the Campeonato first time in my lifetime. Bittersweet because we won. But damn, that means he's going to stay long. But if he keeps performing at the way that the club has performed to this point, I'll gladly have him back. I'm hoping that, here in the offseason, he changed a little bit, because to me, what I saw on the field a lot of times, I wasn't pleased. Did we get the 3 points ultimately? Yeah, what's it about? Getting 3 points. So, Alfredo, I see where you're trying to go.
No,
this is not the time.
We've had endless conversations in the car about the injection of youth and how you felt that it was just chance and didn't have anything to do with Vitória.
But see, that's a perfect question for July 5th or whatever it is, the next podcast we have when the new season starts, and we know which players will be coming up from the youth. Then that's when I can be like, yo, it fell into his lap. Don't tell me he was in love with Victor Lindelof when he only played in February. What was it for the 7 months?
Well,
if you knew the guy, see, you're gonna start an argument. Don't get me going. If you knew the guy was this good, okay, he would have been playing back in August. You wouldn't have waited till February.
But he's down on a pecking order. The kid is
the kid's the best central on the team.
He's a World Cup winner for Sweden, the U21 under 21 team. He's a world. So the talent is there. I mean. The one I remember when Lindelof was first introduced, that everybody was very fearful of Lindelof. And
that one game against the
Taça de Liga, and he was awful against Oriental. But the thing is that what you got to think is that Vitória works with these guys day in, day out. So obviously he knows what they're capable of in a training pitch. He's watching these guys and he knows whether or not they're ready. And
Alfredo, I keep referring.
If you didn't think he was ready, you would have put somebody at center back.
Absolutely not. I keep referring to horse racing, right? When it comes to Rui Vitorias and Cavalos, and he's going up against other dudes that play in burros. Cavalos is going to win out most of 99.9% of the time. And when it comes to Victor Lindelof, I'm gonna use another Cavallo example.
Que estás a chamar Cavallo of Victor Lindelof?
You're training horses to race. You're training horses for races, for $1 million races, right? And you got this young stallion who's beating everybody up and down the racetrack. What, you're going to hold him back because he's in the pecking order? No, you're going to put your best racehorse at the front of the line to win the very next race. So don't tell me you worked with the guy. He knew what he had. The pecking order. What pecking order? The Capitão came back. Pecking order. Capitão sat the bench. Right?
But that's because he had good games.
The guy was tremendous. The guy's the best central in Portugal. I said it. The best central in Portugal. So,
melhor com o Maicon, pá.
Come on, Maicon tá no São Paulo, garoto.
Melhor com Semedo.
So Chris, to these guys' defense, right? Like you said, we saw Lindelof play in that Taça da Liga game or whatever it was, right?
And everybody was
to their defense, and this is the one thing I really can't stand. When you see these players come out, they're really not playing with the A team. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're playing with the halves in some
guys
of those
like
games,
him,
right?
like them.
Exactly. So you really can't see the full potential of certain players until you actually mix them right into the entire
you're a center
squad. You know what I mean?
You're a center back. It's easy to see a potential. You see the ball, you clear it.
So
you're rid of it. And he was shaky. Guys, go back. Come on.
Chris, but if you're playing side by side with a guy who doesn't know much about it, right?
It was him and Jardel or him and Lisandro, whatever.
Who was on his right? Who was on his right?
He was on his left. He was on the right. I think Lisandro.
No, who was the right back in that game?
Semedo or Almeida. It was Silvio, one of them. I don't know. I don't recall. I
think it was Silvio. So, Chris, let me ask you this. If you had to grade Vitória on whether or not he did a good job introducing the youth, what would you grade him from 1 to 5?
1 to 5.
1 being the best or the worst?
1 being the worst, 5 being the best.
1 being the worst. Dude, I don't know, man. I'd give him. Listen, man. To me, it's a lot more than just giving him a grade. It's a lot more than just giving him a grade because Renato, again, another guy that stepped in October. I don't think anyone knew what they had, and the guy came up and he surprised everybody. And from what we hear, everyone says there was Rui Costa that pushed, Rui Costa. So if those stories are true, and we are to believe that Rui Costa was one that pushed this kid to play, that pushed the team to play this guy, I can't give Rui Vitória credit. That's number one. Number two, Semedo. Don't tell me he knew Semedo. They figured the only reason why Semedo played is because we had no money. We didn't want to invest money in nobody. Moxie left. Semedo was on a preseason. He didn't play to the very last game of the preseason.
Silvio, you had Andre Almeida. Right?
Yeah.
If you remember, out of all the games that Benfica played in the preseason up here in America, Semedo, it was the first game was the Red Bulls.
First game against the Red Bulls.
So in Toronto, he didn't play, and in Connecticut, he didn't play
at all. He didn't play at all.
At Red Bull Arena, when he finally gave the third string guys a chance, Tarapte included, He gave Semedo a chance, and sure enough, he impressed us right away,
He did.
Chris.
Well, as soon as we saw him with the ball, we said, "Wow, this kid got nice feet."
Yeah,
But this
same
is a
thing.
guy, guys. Let's not forget. I don't even think. I don't even think. I know for a fact, right? I don't even think the club knew what they had in Smith. This is a kid that played 1 year of his career at right back last year. Okay, the years before that, he was a midfielder. Benfica signed him as a midfielder.
He's a winger. Yeah.
He was a converted right back. And I don't think Benfica had any anticipation of starting him at right back because, like you said, you had Silvio, you had Almeida. We'll see what we have with this kid. He'll be one of the kids that we jump up, maybe play him in the Taça da Liga if we need him. And then the kid blew everybody's doors off, and the kid played really well. So well that he got called up to the national team, and then he gets hurt, unfortunately, and he hasn't recovered his form prior to getting injured. Renato, the team forced him on. Lindelof, listen, the guy that you want to tell me that I think he made an effort to play was the kid
Gedge.
Gedge. Was Gedge.
Gedge was already getting some playing time with JJ
exactly.
last year.
Gedge is the one guy but everybody else, look, man, again, it's the wrong day to sit here and criticize the man. But I'll stick firm to my
So what's your grade?
opinion. To my opinion.
What's your grade?
If this guy knew that Lindelof was this good, he'd be playing since day one.
But what's the grade? What's your grade? From 1 through 5. Whether or not he did well introducing the youth. Do you think it was just it was luck or skill?
Luck.
So you think it was luck? So
know.
Basically, you
But
rate him under 3.
I'll give him this. Once he saw that these kids were that good, he didn't hesitate in playing them afterwards.
Well, but that's what you do in a training pitch.
But dude, so he didn't see it until February.
A player has to seize the opportunity.
So he didn't see it until February.
Well, I don't know if he did or not. I think that Lisandro was higher in the pecking order.
This is the wrong time to have this conversation.
All right, let me also in today's, or actually yesterday's
I'm gonna get killed on Twitter for this.
or yesterday's Ebola or today's Ebola in Rui Vitorias' interview. He did say that there was talk about going to the market in January to get a number 8, but that he refused because he thought that Renato was the real deal, and he thought that Renato could bring him everything that he wanted. Obviously, 7-point deficit at one point in the league. Who would have thought that Benfica would have been able to make up these points and actually finish up on top of Sporting and win the league? Cristiano, 7-point deficit. We're all looking and said that there's no way. Do you feel that there's some credit that goes to the team, or do you think that this was really Sporting that lost the league?
Combination of both. I think Sporting lost the league, and you got to tip your cap to Benfica. They never gave up. Once they saw the opportunity, they kept just, chucking away, and they did what they had to do. And again, it goes back to all the stuff we talked about earlier, the criticism every single day. These players united, and these players just said, look, no matter what, whether these guys are 7 points, 8 points, 20 points ahead of us, we're going to go out there and perform at our very best, and hopefully they'll drop points, and that's exactly what happened. Everything came out perfect according to Benfica's plan.
Yeah, Pedro, 7 points deficit at one point. We all thought that we were done with, especially the way the Sporting was playing. We didn't think Sporting was going to be losing any games.
Let me tell you something. I wouldn't have never thought that we would have had the 3 this year in December. I really didn't.
But sabes como é que é, pá? O Sporting é sempre campeão do Natal, pá.
Like the other guy said, o Sporting é como o golfinho. Vem cá acima buscar água e depois volta outra vez para baixo.
If you go back in Sporting's history, they got the most Natal campeonatos in Portugal by far.
Is there such a thing as Natal Campeonatos?
No, but they think it is because every Christmas.
Campeões do bacalhau assado?
Yes. Dude, I'm not even joking.
So, again, to your question, I didn't think we would recover those 7 points. I honestly thought we were trying to fight for second place personally. But once I started seeing that Sporting was inconsistent with a lot of the smaller teams, the games that you need to be winning, especially being any of the top 3, you need to win those games, those smaller games, smaller teams. When they started dropping those points, I thought the window and the doors were wide open and we could just take it. As long as we can beat them in Albalishu, we would take it. Yeah,
which was hard because we were coming off of 2 straight losses. One embarrassing loss at Stadio de Luz, if you want to look at it. The famous 70th minute loss at Stadio de Luz 3-0. But it was very tough. Sporting was very consistent and very strong in the beginning of the season, but then they just, I don't know if it was overconfidence or what it was, but they just hit a little lull. They gave up some points. They tied up some games. And I think that I remember at one point being here in the podcast, and I think we just had tied Union de Madeira. And I remember saying, if we want to do this, if we want to be stay in the run, and we got to put a run together. And I think it went all the way up to 11
games in a row.
I think that's where Sporting lost the season. I really do.
Yeah.
Union Madeira. Because I remember clearly, the Sportingistas, ranting and raving. You guys tied Union Madeira, and then the following week they lost.
As well. Oh, they lost.
Yeah. They lost. So I think that was a turning point right there as well. That was a very, very big game for both teams.
Yeah, here's what Patrick has to say about going forward with Rui Vitória.
I think Benfica can go very far under Rui Vitorias. He's shown that he can handle the pressure, winning 12 games in a row and setting a record points tally at the end of the season. He's shown that he won't be drawn into mind games with opposition coaches, and he's shown he's tactically astute. You can't be that and reach. You can't not be that, I should say, and reach a European Cup quarter-final. Benfica fared very well, and he didn't seem overawed by the challenge of meeting Guardiola in the last 8 of the Champions League. I think the first target has to be winning a 4th straight league title. Benfica have to try and embark on really continuing this winning cycle and having a real lasting dynasty in Portuguese top-flight football. The next aim would be to try and win their group in the Champions League to give themselves the best possible chance of progressing for the last 16. But I think Benfica have to be looking at winning the league title consistently, being there or thereabouts in the knockout stages of the Champions League. Perhaps the last 4 is still beyond that, but I think a repeat of this season's quarter-final should not be.
There you go.
Was Patrick washing the dishes? That's what it sounded like, right?
I've heard Patrick on Portugal podcast, and it sounded a lot worse than that.
That was today. That was mild. That was very mild.
Chris, what do you think is going to be the hardest? Do you think this year was the hardest for Vitória? Do you think next year is going to be the hardest for Vitória?
I think second year always repeating is always harder than the first year because people get a chance to study you. People get a chance to know what your game plan is. A lot of people get to scout you and game plan for you. So second year is always harder. And for him as well. I mean, he has to live up to expectations. Now, this is a guy that's won a Campeonato Benfica, not a guy that if he drops points, we're like, okay, he's still in the growing stage. Like you said at the beginning of the season, this was one of those transition years. A lot of people like, you won last year. We're at Benfica. We expect you to win again every single year. Yeah. So I think it'll be a little bit harder. But right now it's a little bit too early. I mean, we don't know who's leaving. Like we talked about at the beginning of the pod, we don't know who's coming in.
Well,
so
we know.
We don't even know if he's going to China. I mean,
we know Servi's coming in for sure.
Well, but we're talking about
Horta's coming in.
Horta, will he be a part of the team?
Those are uncertainties, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's no uncertainty. Servi's playing. Servi's staying on the team. Horta is obviously the one that's up in the air. I can't tell you. I've watched. He did score for the under-21 on the Torneo de Toulon.
What a hell of a goal!
Yeah, I didn't even watch it, but I can't tell you whether this kid's going to make a part of the team or not. We have another 58,000 guys out on loans. No, I mean it's too early right now.
There's a big buzz about the players that are leaving Benfica, and look, it's all part of the silly season. So take that with a grain of salt. Nothing is done until confirmed. So, but I think the guy.
Ebola on Sunday. The Ebola had. Like beginning of the day, Carrillo was going to Atletico Madrid for 25 million. A couple hours later, he's going to England for 25. The ball I had the guy sold twice in a span of like 3 hours. And this is what they do, man. They're going to throw out rumors to sell newspapers because it gets clicks, and clicks is money, guys. And so
throw shit against the wall and see if it sticks. That's it. We all know that Patrick Kendrick is actually won't be commenting Benfica's games next season. So I actually had him, like you've been hearing some little clips of we could
just start a YouTube channel for him, and he'll just watch the game on TV and it does the play-by-play for you.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that.
Yeah,
let's get that on Kickstarter.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get that on Kickstarter. We'll send him a microphone.
Here's Patrick talking about the spine-tingling feeling during his times at the Luge calling games. Wait a second, not ready yet.
The most spine-tingling moment for me personally has to be being there for Renato Sanchez's blockbuster goal against Academica, where he picked up the ball and there was nothing on, and he proceeded to thump it into the top corner, and the ball seemed to be accelerating all the time as it smashed into the roof of the net. That was a privilege to be there. It really was confirmation, if any was needed, that this was a special talent. He'd already shown what he could do by coming into the side and showing no nerves at all, playing ably in the Champions League and also performing very well in the league. And he showed that he has everything to his game. It's not just all action, combative, defensive midfielder. He is a genuine number 8. He can get around the pitch. He's a box-to-box midfielder with a good engine. He's got a great shot and he's tactically intelligent. And that goal was, although not his most important, that came at Guimarães. It was one for the highlight reel and one that got YouTube and the online community talking about this special talent that a number of clubs had already been well aware of. The other moment that really was special was Jardel scoring what was a very crucial goal over Vitória de Guimarães. That game was tense and tight, and Benfica winning goalless at half-time and hadn't really created much. And once again, they showed they could find a way of digging out a win. It was not the most convincing goal, a free kick from Gaetan. Jardel, who didn't score his first goal until late in the campaign, popped up with a wonderful header to secure what was a crucial 1-0 win, one of several single-goal victories by Benfica towards the end of the campaign. And that moment at the stadium, you just felt, you knew that Benfica were going to keep winning and they were going to win out their remaining games to secure the league title. The most spine-tingling moment.
Yeah, Patrick. Chris, I thought that Patrick was going to say that the spine-tingling feeling was meeting you at in Aveiro.
Yeah, he didn't want to say that in the recording. That's what it is. You got to pay for that subscription for him to say stuff like that.
Yeah. So here's another clip from Patrick. The comparison, and he's actually been fortunate enough to be part of last year, although albeit coming right at towards the end of last year's season. Here's his comments on the comparison of last year's season to this year's.
There are a lot of parallels between this season and last. Benfica will have won a consecutive title. Last season it was to go 2 in a row. This season it's to go 3 in a row. And they could possibly win yet another League Cup. It would be their 7th, which is an astonishing run. The key difference really has been their progress in the Champions League, making the last 8, and also the emergence of a number of young players who might not have potentially got their opportunity under the previous manager. We'll never know whether that's the case or not. But I think there's going to be a great rivalry going forward now between Benfica and Sporting, and Porto will have some way to go to get back into challenging. Very exciting indeed. There are a lot of parallels between.
Yeah, and one last clip from Patrick about what he learned from being in Portugal these years, and we're all grateful for his participation, for being able to come on the pod and give us his opinion. And we surely, not only myself and Chris, but the podcast and a lot of the guys that follow the podcast, I've made a friend for life, if you want to look at it this way. But here's his last clip about what he learned at Benfica.
What I've learned most about over the last season and a bit covering Benfica is just the extent of this club, how far the support goes, how there will be dominant crowds wherever you go in the country, be it in the north or on the islands. The several occasions when there really was a mini Estádio da Luz away from home, and that support has been something to behold. The red wave, be it in Lisbon or on their travels, has allowed Benfica to win the title yet again. And I think it's not only been the support inside Portugal, but just seeing videos and the scenes of title celebrations in Mozambique and Angola and across Australasia, North America, South Africa too. I think Benfica podcast has really helped open my eyes to just how far this club goes, what an international institution it is, and that's something that Luis Filipeira said yesterday. It's not just a club of Lisbon, it's a club of the north, centre and south of Portugal. It's a club of Asia, the Americas, Africa, and Europe, and I strongly agree with his sentiment.
There you go. That's Patrick for you.
And soon to be a club out in China, because apparently Luis Riviera left China today with a mega sponsorship deal. So we'll see what happens in the coming weeks.
A club in the Chinese league, you think?
Don't know.
You don't know what the
It's a
deal
sponsorship
involved?
deal. Sponsorship deal.
Sponsorship
Yeah,
deal.
sponsorship deal.
Hope
Yeah.
it's like 300-400 million, like straight up front.
Cash money.
Cash.
Bitches. Renato's not going anywhere. Cancel the deal.
Yeah. So thanks, Patrick, for
Obrigado, garoto.
sharing those thoughts with us. And I
I
hope
thought he was going to get mushy for a second.
I hope that well, he probably didn't know the context in which we were going to put this in. So I shot him some questions on email, and he just answered them via audio. So we appreciate you taking the time to do that. You're very much appreciated, and you're welcome on the podcast anytime you want. So we'll just wait till Patrick comes on next time. Chris, how are we doing on the Twitter questions, bro? Do we have some
Not much
Twitter
today.
questions
Not
we can
much.
get
Very
in?
disappointed in our Twitter followers today.
We got people that they're listening.
we have
They're
a couple-
watching. 23 people watching.
2,300. That's nice. We
That's
got
nice.
a couple. We got a couple of
Yeah.
questions. One in particular from Neil, who I'm not sure if he's aware that this guy, he's from the Three Tugas, but he's the Benfiquista, not the Sportingista, because he's asking a Sporting related question.
That's just Neil being Neil.
Yeah, Neil wants to know why are all
Dude,
the
I wouldn't be a Sportingista wearing this shirt.
Yeah,
That's
that's
just-
for sure.
Yeah,
that's
he-
unheard of.
Unless you lost some kind of a bet, and we just made you come on doing that.
he wants to know why are those Sportingistas such sore losers?
They were all convinced that they were going to win this year.
If
but
I'm not mistaken, I think Mikey Casoilu's actually watching the show live. Mikey, hit us up with a text or something, kid. Respond to that one.
Hashtag Benfica podcast. Nelson also wants to know what was more of a surprise this season: emergence of Renato, the efficiency of Mitroglou, or PZ's deep photo bombing Luis Sandro.
what was the most what? I thought that picture of Pizzi holding.
Biggest surprise of the season
I thought that Pizzi holding
is genitals.
his junk. I don't know if he did that on purpose or not.
I don't think he did it on purpose.
No.
It actually
Did you
happened.
guys actually expect as much from Mitroglou as he actually produced this year?
That's a great question.
Great question.
I think that no. I have to say no. I think he pleasantly surprised me.
I thought he was going to be another one of the Roskovsky players that Benfica picks up sometime during the summer and, comes collect the paycheck and doesn't do shit.
I thought he scored 15 goals overall. And so the 20 in the league was obviously a very, very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that his output was great. I thought that Jimenez complimented him perfectly.
Mitro kid.
And we signed him now, so he'll be a Benfica player next year. I thought it was great. I don't know if probably a lot of you guys have watched that clip where the Benfica TV girl is interviewing him, and she says,
Why'd you come back?
why did you come back to Benfica, or what made you come back to Benfica? And he says, because I like it.
That was it. Short and
That's
simple.
it. That's all he has to say.
That's it.
I'm waiting for
Why beat around the bush?
the Chuck Norris jokes about Mitroglou. I think somebody should make some of those.
João Gomes also made a couple of comments. Super Cup, August 7th, depending on how the Euro goes, and some players will be on holidays, others at the Olympics. Is that a big problem?
No, I don't think so.
Olympics, who I mean,
I don't
it
think so.
depends on Smedu.
I think that the
Olympics is 23 and under, right?
Yeah, the
And
Olympics
with three over 23.
3 over 23.
they're going to take a lot of those kids that were in U21, probably U21 with a mix of some of the U20 kids.
Well, I think Smedu makes it. Is he? Yeah, he's on the 23.
Smedu,
Yeah.
Gonçalo Guedes, right?
Smedu
Yeah.
Guedes, those guys will make it. Renato's no longer there, so you don't have
Yeah.
to worry about. Depends what happens with Lindelof. I mean, since he's going with the big boy squad,
Yeah, I don't think he's
Don't
going to go
know
to the Olympics.
exactly.
I don't even know if Sweden's in the Olympics.
Ederson with Brazil.
É provável.
Don't know.
I no sé, cara.
Yeah, he might just be a backup within the Copa America, but then he might
And
get
then
the
go to
start.
the
He might get the
Olympics
nod. And,
because he's not going to get the time.
yeah. I mean, it depends. I don't think it'll be that big of a problem. Even if it's just missed for one game, the Supertaça, Benfica still has more than enough firepower right now. Okay, because it could all be sold in the next 10 minutes. But right now, they still have more than enough firepower to perform and put on a good fight.
Yeah, and let's not kid ourselves. I mean, I know that Braga is usually a very good team, but next year it looks like they're going to have a different coach. I don't know who the coach will be, but it does look like Paulo Fonseca is on his way out. But I think that this Super Cup will have nothing to do with the Super Cup that we had this year. Obviously, with all the storylines attached to it, but I don't think it'll be as tense and as competitive, if you want to call it, this year. So we'll just have to see. I think that we have enough guys on the squad.
Chris and Fredo, here's a question for you.
Fala, garoto.
I know you boys love Papo Seco.
That's my man.
Do you think his position's being threatened by Grimaldo?
Yeah,
100%.
Well, he hasn't even his contract expires at the end of the season.
I think he renewed for one more year. He'll be
did
back.
renew?
Yeah, from what I gathered, from what I heard, he renewed one more year. He'll be back, but we all anticipate that, him and Grimaldo will share that left back position a lot more than they did this year.
I gotta say, man, Grimaldo looked very, very, very impressive in that final.
No, it's
Taça da Liga game.
It's encouraging to see him.
Também só dá para frente, meu. You gotta know defend.
Benfica doesn't need to defend.
That can be taught, man. That can be taught.
Put Papo Seco against when we play in the Champions League.
Some video.
Papo Seco was the man. Papo Seco shut down a lot of people this year, a lot of critics, and he played well. We got a couple more questions here real quick. João Gomes, which loaned B team players you think should be on the team next year, at least during the preseason?
I think you got to bring Pelé.
Tarap.
Tarap's not on loan, dude.
He's on the B team. He says on B team.
Which loaned B team players?
Which loaned / B team players?
Oh, okay. So you didn't say the slash, dude.
I said B team.
Tarap.
Tarap. Think that a lot. Tarap.
No, I think that Pelé.
Duty siege, kid. Duty siege.
No, come on. For this.
Come on.
You say no to Tarap, but you say it to Duty siege.
Dude,
Cristante and Duty siege are on the same boat. Wherever they go, they don't impress. So Benfica's doing something right.
Man.
Well, we had a little help here from Neil. He mentioned Miguel Santos, goalkeeper, Pedro Rabocho, Yuri Ribeiro, Gilson Costa, Papadadowicz, Saponic.
Who's going to play for the B team?
Jovic, Gonçalo. No, but this is on the preseason tour, bro. Whoever preseason, I think these guys should get a look.
What is Benfica going to carry 2 buses to transport all these guys?
They brought 31 last year. They brought 31 in the American tour last year.
You're right.
Okay, I know I'm right. I'm always right when I speak.
They did bring 31.
Okay. Carl Schaubs, tricampeão. What was Gaetan's best moment at Benfica? And do you think SLB will sell Carrillo? Well, Gaetan's best moment, I think, out of all the memorable things that this guy did, and he did a lot of memorable things, the one thing that I will never, ever in my goddamn life forget was him crying walking off the field because he loves my club. That right there, to me, it showed me that he's got Benfica running through his veins.
That's a sad moment, man.
But that's for me, it's the thing I'll never forget.
Dude,
there's one play that I still watch all the time.
The Sporting.
Hell's yeah.
That is probably one of the best players I've ever seen by Benfica.
Because just seeing him swing his hand as he's walking towards that sideline after the goal is scored is just out of this world, man.
Yeah, I think that to me is a memorable moment. I think that there's some free kicks.
Yeah, he's got, like I said, he's got a lot. He's got a lot. But him crying for my club, will forever be in my brain.
What else you got, Chris?
That's it, man. I guess Neil, because everybody else is sleeping at the scene. How come Benfica not coming back to North America this year? Come on, 10CO10, don't you have the hookups?
No.
I'll make a phone call after this, Neil.
Let him stay over there.
I'll send him to Canada.
Let him go to Switzerland, man. And let him go to Switzerland.
See, I like them. I like them coming here. I
like that.
It's great exposure.
It was a good experience.
And that's for the big boy clubs. And so if you want to be a big boy club, you got to make these international summer tours, because that means you made it. If you're not in these all-star celebrity big boy tours, you're not a big boy.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, to prove that we're pretty fair here in our podcast, Jorge Jesus actually went on Tempo Extra, and he was given a trophy by Rui Santos. At least he won something. So we also have here some kind of a present for Jorge Jesus, and this is what we have. Is a dictionary 35th edition for Jorge Jesus. And the foreword is by Manel. And in this dictionary, you could learn words like acreditamos y whatever. I lost that one.
Have you guys seen the video clip of him when he was like first started off as a coach?
No.
You gotta catch that.
Okay,
It's all over YouTube. Dude, my man doesn't know what he's saying, but it's funny though.
Hilarious. What else we got, Chris?
that's it, man.
That's it?
That's it.
I
Yeah,
can't believe
yeah.
You put that picture up of JJ. That's funny.
You haven't seen this? He was on Tempo
No,
Extra.
I'd seen it. I didn't.
With
never thought
Rui
you'd have-
Santos.
I
For
never
those
thought
of
you'd
you
have
who
put it
are
up.
listening to this and obviously can't see this picture, it'll be up on Benfica podcast. After the podcast, we'll post it up.
Oh, man.
No, just watch the YouTube video.
But some
That was the trophy you
but
was
some,
given
Some people
by Rui
can't.
Santos.
Some people can't get to this, so make sure you check out Twitter. It'll be up on the Benfica podcast Twitter account, and then retweet it. Send it to your family, your mama, your
Yeah.
daddy, your dog.
I'm
your
sure
cat.
you've guys all seen this picture of. So basically, you went on Tempo Extra and Rui Santos just tossed his salad big time and gave him a trophy. I don't know if that's. I'm sure that's going right up next to the medal of the bicampeón. So anyway, I think that's about it. I think I wish Chris would have gotten more involved in the Rui Vitória discussion because we promised. But like, I agree. I agree with him. At this
It's
point,
not the time. It's not the time. Guys. I mean, you're just trying to get me killed. That's
time
all
to
it is.
celebrate.
No, I'm
You're just trying to get
trying to get you killed.
hate mail towards me.
I'm just saying.
I know Mario right now is sharpening his knife, trying to get at me. He'll get at
Mario,
me.
David Pritchett.
Oh, these guys are sharpening their knives. They'll get at me in the next couple of minutes on Twitter or tomorrow morning. But I mean,
There's a lot of credit to be given to Vitória. I know that he's got some shortcomings, but maybe the second season will be much better.
the guy's a tremendous human being. You know, one thing that
The guy's a tremendous human being.
he is.
So is Mother Teresa.
He is, and nobody could take away that he's a classy individual and that he represents this club
Absolutely.
with honor and class and
I agree.
prestige. And so, you obviously have to
Spot on,
appreciate
Chris,
that. You know,
spot
I
on.
mean, he's carried this badge well.
100%.
So that's all that matters at the end of the day, man.
Yeah. All right. I think that's about it. We want to thank Pedro Resta for being here. Go check out these guys, their podcast. It's up on YouTube, iTunes. Three Tugas podcast. What's
Mike,
you got a website?
Mike Casoilu jumped on. Mike Casoilu
Uh-oh.
wants to know, what do you guys think of João Gabriel's departure from the club? I can't sleep. I won't be able to sleep tonight over it. That's what I think about it. I'll be losing my sleep.
Yeah.
We got
Mr. Burns.
We got a Sportingista watching the Benfica podcast.
Cool, this-
Mikey, thanks, kid.
That's what we do here.
That's our
we-
Three Tugas, man.
We
That's
make
our Three Tugas.
we
boy.
make miracles happen.
Yeah, that's right. Pedro, a site where people could check out your podcast. Do you got that?
So we got you can hit us up on Twitter at Three Tugas at the number 3 TUGAS. We are on Facebook, Three Tugas. Gmail, Three Tugas podcast at gmail.com. We do have a website, hasn't been updated in a few weeks, but we're hoping to catch up
Slacking.
with that.
Yeah.
So you get an opportunity to come on the Benfica podcast and you're not prepared to drop the knowledge. Slacking. I'd fire that tech guy.
I
Hold up.
don't know
I
if
gotta talk to him. He hasn't been around about 3 weeks.
I don't know if your bandwidth is going to be able to handle all the people looking at.
Kevin,
your
Tricampeão wants to know Neve.
It's Kevin spelled backwards.
Kevin spelled SLB. He wants to know thoughts on Rafa Silva perhaps joining Benfica. I would love to
Too
have
expensive, man.
Don't know.
You don't think he's worth the 15, huh?
Well, it's 15 is a rumor.
I'd rather grab Jota, to be honest with you.
15 plus. Well, you can still get Jota. You might get Jota as well, but it's 15
It's
plus
just-
Marsal in that late. But that's BS
It's
rumor.
basically the same player.
don't
Why
know.
are we going to grab two players for the same position?
One on each side.
They both operate off the left side.
Rafa plays on both flanks.
They both operate on the left
Look,
side.
the guy's a spectacular player. Not gonna lie to you, the fact that he's Portuguese doesn't add extra, but makes it look nicer. Because it's not like they're gonna win any extra points because he's Portuguese. But you know, it's good young talent, young Portuguese talent on this club. It'll make the little Cartaz look a lot better. But if we could get him, I like to get him. But I mean, it depends. I mean, we heard that Football Club do Porto winning with $16 million euros, 16 million euros in January in the transfer window to try to sign him. And Braga stood firm and they said we want 20. Now, 15 mil, Derlei and Marsal, is that enough to entice them? Don't know. Depends what other offers they're looking at. Supposedly, he's got a huge market in England. He's got a huge market in Spain. Will Benfica be able to compete with them? You know, as far as money goes, don't know. Yet to be determined. But I would like to have him on the squad. He's a nice player.
I think there's a bigger margin of progression with Jota, and we could probably hold him for a couple of years before we sell him.
Talking talking about young talent. You see those boys on the U17 national?
Yeah.
Zagolus, yo. Zagolus
Yeah.
is my máquina.
We have to say that I know that Sporting bragged a lot about the 23 players that were called up to the national
10,
team.
slow down. 10.
Well, the 23 players that were called up, that the majority of them were shit products. If
10
you
of them, 10 of them previous started with Sporting. 10 out of the 23.
On the U17, no Sporting players in that starting 11.
That was 5 Benfiquistas, 4 Protistas, 1 from West Ham, Quinas, and 1 from Valencia, the left
There
back.
you go. Chris dropping the stats on you.
Alfredo, question for you.
Okay.
Do you think the American tour hurt Benfica beginning of the season? Now that we're signing off, everybody's sending questions.
I think that the easy answer is obviously yes. I think that the American tour was something that was inherited by Vitória. I think that it gave the club some exposure, even though they didn't win any games. I thought it was great that we got to be next to the team and enjoy and see them up close. But I think, yes, it was detrimental to the team the way it was planned out, but it was all about the cash.
Next question. I can't take this guy Neil serious, man. Neil wants, how do we get a Benfica Eusebio statue outside of BMO?
Hey Neil, you got to go talk to your
Neil,
mayor, bro.
Listen, I might have hookups, but not that big of a hookup.
What has Eusebio done for the city of Toronto?
He won a title in Toronto 40 years ago, and then NASL. Neil dropping the knowledge.
40 years ago?
What's the dude that likes to snort coke? The mayor, he died. He passed away, right?
Ford.
The
dude that likes to snort coke.
He would have made it happen.
Crack pipe.
Crack coke, same thing. He would have made it happen, Neil, if you talk to him, guys.
If you give him enough drugs,
guys. We got this is from Francisco Marcelino. Obrigado, Francisco. Guys, we got Ederson and JC. What do we do, man? Who do we bench next year? If both of them come back. We don't bench anyone. You got it. You can only play one goalie, Alfredo. I'm sorry to break it to you.
Oh, play Julio Cesar Natasa. Nah, I don't know. I think I think that as long as Julio Cesar is healthy, I think you got to go with Julio Cesar, man.
But that being said,
now we can say, like Chris had said before, what isn't broken, you don't try to fix.
I know.
But that being said,
but you get a fresh start in the beginning of the season.
You're right. But that being said, guys, if you're Ederson, and you know that Benfica is going to go with JC.
You don't know.
I'm pretty sure if these supposedly, transfer rumors are accurate, he will. I think that has a lot to do with the fact whether he comes back or not. He will, Rui Vitória, somebody's going to have to give him an answer. Like, dude, if I reject this trade, because he's going to go and most likely play wherever he goes, or at least for 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
He's going to play, dude.
Well, but it will be for 10 times more money than what he makes at Benfica. So, am I going to play or am I going to sit the bench? Because if I sit the bench, I'm going to go make 10 million and sit on somebody else, 5 million, whatever, and sit on somebody else's bench. I think that has a lot to do with it. I think if his agent is a good agent, his agent will be asking those questions of Benfica before he does make the decision, guys.
It's a lot.
But if they're both back, man, it's tough. It's really tough.
But it's a lot harder to sell a goalkeeper than it is.
Well, there's a lot of rumors, man. A lot of rumors swirling around.
There's rumors, yeah. There's rumors, but I don't know. I think that both Julio Cesar and Ederson will depart or will take off on equal footing, depending whether Ederson goes to the Olympics or not. I think if he goes to the Olympics, he arrives at camp late. Julio Cesar's got the edge.
Man, it's tough.
If Julio Cesar could remain healthy, I mean, you look at the season prior to this one. Julio Cesar spent a lot of time on the bench too, or at the trainer's table too. He's not the guy that could hold that fitness throughout the year.
I'm a Julio Cesar guy. Absolutely,
I'm too. I love
Julio Cesar. I love him, but right now, I have to go with the youngster.
Well, I think it's reassuring to know that if Julio Cesar gets hurt, that's who we got to back him up.
But I have to go with the young. I mean, if everything being equal, I got a 37-year-old and I got a 22-year-old, and everything being equal, you're gonna pick the 22-year-old because you got the next 15 years of his career ahead of you. Julio Cesar got a year, 2 years max. So that decision to me comes down to age. And I love Julio Cesar. I love him. I was heartbroken when he got hurt because I think he's been spectacular for this club ever since day one that he stepped into a Benfica shirt. So it'd be very hard for me to sit him on the bench. But like you're saying, Alfredo, if they're both going to start on equal footing, I think I give the nod to Ederson.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I don't know if you guys remember, maybe 6-7 weeks back when they started saying that Julio Cesar was going to be back and healthy and ready and playing form. Do you recall the question I hit you guys up with during the show?
Yeah.
What? Would you stick with Ederson right now for the rest of the season?
Julio Cesar comes back,
or would you bring back Julio Cesar?
Yeah, we got to go back to the what Chris was saying.
Dude, it's crazy though. It's crazy how this is a good problem to have. Though.
It's a tremendous problem. It's a tremendous problem to have.
Yeah, like I was saying, the injury issues that Julius Caesar has gone through. It never seems that he's out only for 2 weeks. He's out for a very lengthy amount of time. The year that he came, that he came under JJ, he was out for a bit with back problems.
Mikey, it's a better problem than what they have on the other side of Lisbon, right?
Yo,
Do you put in Rui Patricio or São Patricio?
João Gomes says we only have 50% of Ederson's contract. JC should be on the starting 11 until we have 100%.
Who does
of
the
Ederson.
other 50% belong to?
Probably one of those other clubs.
No, we bought him out right.
I don't
from
know.
Rio
This is what João Gomes is saying. João, get your
João
game up.
Gomes knows.
Francisco Marcelino, knowing what we know now, do you guys prefer JJ or Rui Vitória leading your team? That's a very interesting question.
I'll be honest, Rui Vitória. I think that we put up with a lot of shit from JJ as far as being a public figure and a representative of the club because he won. But there was times that the time that he wasted an 8-point lead and he gave up the championship to Porto, we're all ready for his head to roll, especially during that game in the Taça de Portugal at the end of the season when him and Cardoso got involved in a pushing match. I was ready for his head to roll. Of course, the man has his credits, but he did give up some big championship with huge squads. Let's not forget that. But I think that as a public figure and as a representative of the club that I love, in front of the cameras, Rui Vitória, he's a freaking master, bro. He's the guy that I'm proud to call my coach because of the way he behaves himself, because of the way that he's carried himself all season, especially not getting involved in the mind games that they were putting out for him, the traps that they were putting out for him, not getting involved with it. I thought it was a masterclass on his part to be able to stay away from that and not get involved.
Well said. Well said.
Cristiano.
You asking me that question? Let's go to the next question. Mike Casoilo, once again, the Sportingista. I'm glad you're listening in. Who'd you rather sell, Feja or Samaris? Samaris all day.
You can't sell Feja, man. That's 9 titles in a row, bro.
Mike was hoping we'd say Feja and then be like, oh, we'll buy him. We'll buy him.
Yeah,
because the guy, 9 titles in a row. Some people will tell you 8, so it depends.
He's a championship luck
the
charm.
guy's a tremendous charm, and he's a very good player too. While you're at it,
hey Mike, let me show you this again.
My golf adventures. Is Aroca in the Europa League a testament? Are. No. He's not asking if they're He's saying the fact that they're in the Europa League, is that a testament to Portuguese coaching?
Absolutely. I think that there's a big talent pool in Portuguese coaching. I think that in years past, the majority of coaches or if you think about it, all 3 coaches are being coached by Portuguese coaches. That's something that probably hadn't happened in years.
All 3 teams.
All 3 big
clubs
were coached by Portuguese coaches. I think that there's a big talent pool of coaches right now in Portugal that are capable of coaching anywhere in Europe, to be honest with you.
Leaving.
So Aroca is a testament to that. But Aroca is kind of like a case study because their meteoric ascension, 10 years ago, they were playing in the Distritais, man.
5 years ago. 5 years ago.
It's quite remarkable how they have progressed this whole time. And this is a testament to also the organization of a club and how a club could be led by people who got their head on their shoulders, that pay salaries on time, that don't overextend themselves as far as financial means. This is a case study that all the clubs in Portugal should put their eyes on in order to bring the level of success that Aroca has brought to their club.
Agree with you and everything you said. Last one, bro. Last question.
Last one, because we got to roll.
Yeah, we got to roll. By same dude, my golf adventure, dude or female, whomever it is, my golf adventures. If Paulo Sousa goes to Porto, what do you think of their chances? I think Alex Ferguson could go to Porto, and if they have the same players they have now, he ain't gonna do crap with them.
I think that Porto is going through some dark times right now, and perhaps the same situation that Sporting was going through in the past 10 years, where they really haven't had a structure and a leader in place to put their foot down and say enough is enough, let's do things this way, and remained steady on that. Right now, I think there's a huge conflict within the Porto ranks as far as leadership, as far as structure. There's a lot going on. There's a lot. Pinto Costa has been contested by a lot. I think that this year he got reelected because there was no really credible opposition to run against him. And I think right now he's just running on the plaudits that he has gotten from years past. I think that if there was a credible another candidate for Porto, like Vitor Bahia, if he had inched himself forward as a credible candidate, I think that he may have well be Porto president at this time.
Enough Porto. We spoke. This is Benfica, but we don't want to talk about Porto. Last one, and this one goes to Pedro because Pedro hasn't really answered many, Alfredo. But with Luis Felipe Vieira coming back from China with apparently deals in hand, would you accept the deal for a name, a stadium name change?
No. Crazy as hell.
If
The loser's the lose.
if it's something that you could pronounce, yes.
No.
The Luz.
The 300
The
million.
Mitsubishi Stadium at the Luz. Mitsubishi at the start of the Luz.
Pedro, 300 million for the naming rights, bro.
They could change my name for 300 million.
What would you say would be the breaking point that you would say, nah, that's too little?
If we can be like another Chelsea or Man City or Barcelona where we can buy whoever the hell we want to buy, then by all means, absolutely.
That'll never happen because players won't come to Portugal over anyone else. But
we can we can win the Champions League. Look at PSG.
I don't like the idea. But PSG,
Yokohama Stadium.
I mean,
at the
look
start
at
of
the
the
French
Luz.
league. What's the French league, really?
But still,
It's just another Portuguese league, right?
Yeah, it is.
Those guys got money growing in
Yes.
people's backyards. Benfica will never have that type of money.
You never know.
Never
No,
know
be-
unless a sheik buys them.
Because
They'll never have that type of
Benfica's,
money.
it belongs to the
Sausage.
fans.
They ain't gonna be no-
Emma, reach out to your friends over there. Get them to spend some money on Benfica, baby.
Shiniz can't mess with the Arabs. Those Arabs, they got oil. It was just springing up. They drill a hole in their backyard and oil pops up.
Yeah, but I heard that Chinese investors
Oh,
are
they-
taking over Portugal.
Yeah.
Big time.
I know.
They are owners already of EDP, which is the electric company.
My
that
dad worked for
supplies-
EDP back in the day.
that supplies the Portuguese grid. They are owners of that. So they're taking over, buying a lot of real estate. I mean, it is what it is, man. Anyway, I think that's about it. At 10CO10, at Benfica Podcast. Pedro, I know this is actually our last podcast before July. We're going to take a break for the offseason. Are you guys going to stay on with the Euro?
We will stay on. We're going to be following the Portuguese national team during the Euro. We're going to be try to follow the U20. We're going to try to stay true to all the transfer news going on. We'll try to cover as much as possible during the summer. We may miss maybe a week or two in there somewhere, but we are going to stay on.
Yeah.
Fear not, all three of you Cristiano Oliveira lovers. I'll keep you entertained.
Yeah. Cristiano's got some big things rolling up.
Ball Breakers. Soon, coming out tomorrow in theaters near you.
All right. Thanks.
Os caras acordaram todos agora. Now
what-
that we're leaving, everybody comes up with questions. Agora, olha. Fudeu.
I had one more thing here that I promised David Pritchard to do, which was to let people know that Planet Benfica are looking for new contributors. If anyone is interested, to get in touch via info@planetbenfica.com. So if you like to write about Benfica, if you like to write about anything related to Benfica, hockey, patins, swimming, pocket pool, just email info@planetbenfica.com and share your talents with them. It's a wonderful site, and they're great supporters of us. BenficaPodcast.com. I talking to the doll. Pedro, throw out your Twitter, bro.
You can follow me at SLB Pedro8 or at Three Tugas Podcast.
At the Tugish Podcast. You want to shout out Leach?
Absolutely. SLB Leach. Check him out. That's my boy, Leach Jr. What's up, kid?
Cristiano, anything you want to plug before we go?
I just did. Check out Breaking. What is it?
Ball Breakers.
Breaking Bad, I was going to say. Check out Ball Breakers.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Sorry to disappoint if we're going to be off, but I think we deserve it. We'll see if we could do something between now and the time we come back. I'm anticipating the team to be back somewhere around July 4th, July 5th, with the first game of the season being August 7th.
Official game of the season.
Official game of the season. That gives about 5 to 6 weeks of training, which is what Benfica usually does. So I expect the season to start right around July 4th or so. We will be back the Tuesday after the team reports for work, with all the transfer news, anything that's happened between the offseason and now. Thank you very much, Pedro. It was a pleasure having you here, man.
Pleasure being here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Continued success for your podcast. Don't forget, you guys, if you want to follow the Portuguese national team, check out the Three Tugas podcast on iTunes and on YouTube also. Thanks a lot, Cristiano. I see you, menino.
Hello, cara. See you in July. See you next season.
See you, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.